alongside Peter Brock, about 5 seconds away from the start. Can Seaton do a blinder? Ready to go. Off the line, Seaton sideways, Brock straighter, two of them side by side. Neil Crompton and Gardner also getting through there smartly. As Neil Crompton sideways off the start, and Mark Scaife starting dead last. Brock looks for the line, but he'll give way to Seaton here. There's no percentage really being on the outside, particularly if Seaton moves ground in this corner. All at 6s and 7s. There's Jones going through as they make the exit out of there, and it's on for young and old at the head of the pack. Here comes Dick Johnson up smartly, and also John Bow in the 18 car. Next is Wayne Gardner coming up ever so smartly. He knocks Bow back one spot in the Coke Commodore. So it's Glenn Seaton, Peter Brock, then Wayne Gardner, followed by John Bow. Next is Crompton, Paul Morris up the inside, and they are still making the turn as they head up the hill for the first time.
Yeah, equal start there from Seaton and Brock that time, but Glenn, by virtue of having Paul, got into the first corner, and it served him well. Got a couple of car lengths here on Brocky already, but Wayne Gardner holding off Dick Johnson, who's determined to let us know through Dunlop Race Cam what it's all about. Down over the dipper dog leg. He's going to have a go at him here. Ooh, careful, mate. This is dicey.
Oh, there's been a touch, and around he goes. Wayne Gardner gets pushed off. The crowd goes crazy. And boy, there'll be steam coming out of his ears right now.
He won't be too impressed with that. Johnson was up the inside of him on a couple of spots as Seaton comes down. Peter Brock is much, much closer this time as they make the run under Dunlop Bridge. As we check them on the Tooheys Red Replay, he came in here on the inside. The first touch is about here.
Yeah, a little bit tough there. The real estate, there's only enough room, and Wayne was watching the fence as he should have, and Dick trying to squeeze by on the inside. An unfortunate incident.
Gee, he'll be disappointed. This is Oran Park, of course, the nominated test track for the Coca-Cola team. They've done very well here in terms of speed all through the weekend. They just haven't got it together for the race. Crompton still survives, though. And here's the pointy end of the grid. Once again, as we saw in Heat 1, Peter Jackson Falcon. Glenn Seaton in control, chased by Peter Brock.
Are flying. They are really, look at him go. You can see that wind up in the chassis on both cars. These blokes are definitely in the 9s again, I'm sure. Mark looking, 9-7.
This is going to be the real test for the tyre battle here. Whoever went more conservative on the rubber may be looking pretty good by the time 20 laps are completed. We shall see who lasts the distance.
I think it's Crompton who sits back there in third place. Dick Johnson is fourth. John Bow is the next one up through the pack. There they go, the two leaders. Much as it was in the latter stages of heat number 1 earlier today. Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon, Peter Brock in the Telecom MobileNet Commodore. And here's the Tooheys 1000 bumper cam that's situated almost on the ground under the tail of Seaton's Falcon.
Well, Brocky's still the fastest man on the track on that first flying lap of 1:09.20, bringing the time down all the time, and boy, he's going to keep Seaton honest here.
10 weeks to Bathurst 1000, the greatest race in touring car race in the world. And here's two cars that are certainly main contenders, Falcon, Seaton.
Once again, locking
Look at
up
Brocky take the inside line there. He's not afraid of those ripple strips.
Now Johnson has passed Bow.
Here's the battle for third, fourth and fifth. Neil Crompton hanging on to third, holding on to the Coke team as they come 170 kilometres an hour over the dogleg and over our track cam. Two
down
shell
into
cars.
the dipper.
Yep.
Up onto the main straight. Here we go. Both shell cars going 1-2. Don't they look a treat there? 1-2.
Well, Neil Crompton had an alarming problem in that first heat. The car was very quick in the opening laps. The speed fell away and it came back good toward the end of the heat. They was chasing some sort of mystery problem with tyre pressures. They weren't sure exactly what it was, and hopefully they've sorted it out for this heat too. Certainly looking very strong in these opening laps.
Well, let's hope Crompton can keep up the Coke team fortunes here after that misfortune the boss had on turn 1.
Dunlop Race Cam shows the battle between the teammates. John Bow just has a more than look down the inside of Dick Johnson that time through. As they come onto the bridge once again, the Shell Falcons looking very, very strong. Haven't had the best of seasons, but certainly looking very quick as we get to the pointy end of the year.
There's Crompton and the Coke Commodore. Then Dick Johnson, his team partner John Bow, the Shell FAI Falcons.
Absolutely mirror image here. Old Johnny's really just doing everything in sync with the boss.
Another big brake block up there from Crompton as well.
And the other interesting point, the man who's come through the field so far is Mark Scaife, who started up there dead last and is already up to 8th. He's having a charge and a half. There's Mazira going through, and you'll see Scaife just on the edge of that shot as they came onto the front straight away. He is on an absolute mind-blowing charge through this pack, trying to pick up the leaders as they head down to Coke Corner again.
Lap 4, and I tell you, Seaton and Brock are the class of the field at the moment. They've both been swapping fastest laps of the race. Brock now the quickest into the 8s, so 1:8.099.
That's flying, right? They're only a 15th away from qualifying time at that speed. So certainly pulling out all the stops here in the last few laps of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship here at Oran Park.
It really is a credit to the setup and the tyre technology involved here. If they can go that quick in the second heat up to 21 laps and practice and the dash.
Bridgestone have said they haven't nominated their Bathurst tyre yet. They're still going to make up their mind next week or so. Well, they may have a decision on their hands taken away from them here today if Brocky and Seaton can go as well as they're going at the moment.
They head once again towards the dipper over our camera. Fabulous shot that into the left-hander down here. So Crompton still doing a good job holding Dick Johnson and John Bower out of the top 3.
Sure is.
Doing an excellent job.
Race still led by Glenn Seaton, second to Peter Brock, third is Neil Crompton, fourth Dick Johnson, fifth John Bower. I'm not quite sure if John has got enough there to make a run on his team leader.
And the times continue to tumble. Glenn Seaton has just undercut Peter Brock's last time, an 8.84. They're going faster and faster each lap. This is very impressive showing from the Seaton and Brock teams.
Scaife up to 7th, Alan Jones is 8th, back in the pack a little bit. There goes Thomas Mazira, and you'll see the next shot. There's Scaife going through, but he's picked up Alan Jones. Jones is all over Mark Scaife, as you can see, heading around through that corner and back up over the Dunlop Bridge. Scaife went out in the grass this morning after a touch with Wayne Gardner, which then led to another touch with Tony Longhurst. Did some damage. They had to work on the car. They've at least started from the back of the field, and champion-elect picking up, hiking the inside front wheel as he comes through there. Jonesy sitting right on his tail as they exit that corner and make their way back to the dog leg.
Great battle here for 7th, 8th and 9th. The far more competitive showing from Paul Morris just goes over our camera, and Larry Perkins, of course, filling out the top 10 as Alan Jones sneaks down the inside. Scaife will go for a tighter exit speed. Try to get a best run onto the straight. Here are the 4 of them. Falcon, Commodore. Absolutely flat strap down Oran Park's main straight. 240 kilometres an hour as they swing into this very tough left-hander.
Scaife desperate to put on a better showing here. He's been unhappy all weekend, didn't qualify anywhere near where he wanted to, and bad luck, as Mike has said, on the opening lap of the first heat. So here he is battling it out with Alan Jones in the last remaining laps of this 1994 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship.
So Jones, Mark Scaife, middle of the pack, right behind them Paul Morris, having a great ride today in the Diet Coke Commodore, getting plenty of good exposure, probably the best he's got for his sponsor this season, running the 5-litre series. And Larry Perkins, as Morris comes down. How close was that? And Larry trying to give Paul the hurry along, keeping in mind the car in front of him was a customer car that Larry built for Paul Morris.
Sure is.
They're not going too bad, are they, these Perkins customer cars?
No, I think it's a credit to the way Perkins prepares these cars for customers, both the Coke car and Tony Longer's car out of the box and competitive vehicles right away.
Larry Perkins Chevy engines, of course, this Diet Coke fettled by Mr. Bellamy, Ralph Bellamy, former Formula One designer, now cutting his teeth in the rough and tough world of Australian touring car racing. And
I think Formula One might have been easier.
Well, this is interesting stuff because Paul has backed out on a couple of occasions where he has gone in deep and just feathered the brakes, so he wasn't going to take everyone out. There's Ayub trying to stay at everyone's way and does so. Morris on a charge. This is good to see.
Yes, very visible. He's definitely hounding Scaife here. It's not as if he's looking for something to happen. He really wishes that red car was just a little bit further out of his way and he'd be through like a flash. Here's another little sneak through. He's giving Scaife the old windscreen wiper treatment, only it's the rear view mirror instead of the windscreen.
It's interesting here. Larry was sitting on Morris's tail, but I think Larry's got the idea something's going to happen.
I think he knows it'd be a dangerous incident if it does happen. Yeah.
Now Larry should be up there on the inside. He hung back to give Morris to see whether there was going to be any contact. There wasn't. Now Larry's got to do the same trick now on Mark Scaife. So Scaife, after a blinder off the back of the field, position 25, got to 8th. and was then passed by Jones, now by Paul Morris, under pressure from Larry Perkins, and the next one is Jimmy Richards.
Very good move there by Paul Morris. He waited his turn and played his cards very nicely.
Meanwhile, our Dunlop race cam riding with Dick Johnson. He's still got John Bow behind him as they enter that turn.
It's the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th.
That's Thomas Mazera sitting one back behind Bow. Bow's behind Dick Johnson.
Look at the speed they come off that Dunlop bridge. They're really flying, and they're winding the cars up here, down through into the old S's.
So as you can see, Scaife's come off again. Spending plenty of time on the grass today. Managed to keep the engine revving, gets back on. This has been a disastrous meeting for the midfield team.
And he also had a huge bark at Wayne Gardner in a Sydney article this morning, suggesting he held up his progress in the qualifying yesterday and suggested Wayne should go back to bikes. That hasn't won him any friends, I'll tell you. Across the line, Dick Johnson, John Bow, the two Shell Falcons running strongly. Thomas Mazera, one spot back behind them. He's still looking pretty sharp, and Crompton doing a fabulous job in the Coca-Cola Kenwood entry.
Sure is. Consistently lapping in the 1 minute 9 second bracket.
And Jones is making a move on Mazera. He's getting closer all the time.
Coca-Cola team just today announced that their second car at Bathurst will be driven by Win Percy, the Bathurst veteran and former winner in 1990, and Russell Ingall, the Formula Ford champion, spending time in England now but coming back for the big race. So that'll be a pretty strong combination. The
very good combination. Yeah, very good combination.
Of course, Neil Crompton running a development engine under the guidance of Peter Malloy. Coca-Cola team making more and more progress with their own in-house engine development. And you can tell by the twinkle in Peter Malloy's eye that they're going to have a pretty good package come October time.
Every engine Peter Malloy makes is a development engine. He's always putting some new trick in every one that he makes.
Fabulous as they come downhill. Look at Jones. I alluded to him earlier. He was well back in about 9th spot, tailgating Mark Scaife, got past Scaife, and he's pulled his group in probably in the last 4 laps and pulled them in heavy duty too.
But boy, hasn't the gap opened between 1st and 2nd? 1.5 seconds between Seaton and Brock at the front of the field. This is the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. It's 12 seconds back to Crompton, so Glenn Seaton and Peter Brock well and truly the class of the field at Oran Park today.
Yeah, murderous attack. John, careful now.
Don't upset the boss.
Now, see, John's problem, he's got a major dilemma. He's got Thomas Mazera all over him, and right over the back of Mazera is, of course, Alan Jones. And I think he's trying to give a subtle message to Dick that...
Could we move things
Dick,
along a bit?
If you can't go any quicker, son, let me through, and you handle them. Johnson, I think, at this stage would be doing a bit of tyre protection in the middle stages of this race.
I think Johnson...
Here comes AJ. He just loves a street fight, this bloke.
Yeah, he really hates it, doesn't he?
Sugar Ray AJ on the move.
Here we go, over the dog leg, down into the dip. Launch themselves up onto the main straight. Just kiss the wall on the exit.
The pressure continues for Thomas Mazera as Alan Jones gets closer to that rear bumper. Watch the inside, throws the tail out and says, Thomas, I'm by.
He's done it, an extremely good move. This is take no prisoners time. Everybody is desperate for a good finish here in the last heat of the last round of fabulous season 94.
Now, Thomas mightn't have made any heavy moves on John Bow, but don't expect that Alan Jones will follow that in the hand guide. They come up now, down through the dog leg. Crompton, I mentioned just before the break, doing a wonderful job in the Coke Commodore. And Bow all over the back of Dick. So those three Falcons running.
They're getting close to that wall, Mike. They really are.
And also, there's one out of shape there.
Jack Shoy. All
right. A little bit dusty down there for the rest of the pack that has to come around as always dust gets thrown on the track.
Dunlop race cam again, looking back at John Bow. Boy, he's going to be a busy guy this afternoon. Keep in mind, too, at the lead between Brock and Seaton, the gap's down to 1 second, so the gap between 1st and 2nd closing up as well.
Yeah, John's getting just a little bit impatient here now.
See the way Crompton's just trying to keep this car as straight as possible. Nice, smooth, clean, consistent laps. Times falling back into the 10s now amongst this bunch. The only guy still running in the 9s and in the low 9s is in fact Seaton and Brock. They're really, I've said it before, I'll say it again, they've got the demon set up at Oran Park today.
About 4 car lengths, I think the gap. We're still monitoring it for you between Glen Seaton. About 4 car lengths.
Last time we had 30,000 people at Oran Park, it was a couple of Trans Am Mustangs roaring around. I don't want to count how many years ago that was.
Can you remember who won that day?
I can't.
Who was it?
It just slipped my tongue at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know who it was.
7 laps to go. It's across the start-finish line this time around. The order: Seaton, Brock, Crompton, Johnson, Bow, Jones, Mazera. Jones, of course, in that interview, sneaking past the inside of Mazera. So Jones up into the top 6.
Now, given that the Falcons are running so strongly here today, and I think that's good for motor racing, and particularly for the Tooheys 1000, the guy sitting alongside of me, you must be almost tempted to bring the Synovus Falcon out of mothballs for the great race.
I'm happy to say that the Synovus Falcon is already out of mothballs and being prepared for the Tooheys 1000. Looking forward to it, Mike.
Is an AM going to sit in the seat?
Well, I'll put my name on the entry form. Will that satisfy you for the moment?
No, but I'll work on you.
Okay.
I think you retired far too prematurely. There's a lot of motor racing devotees out there would love to see you.
Well, I'll put myself down as relief driver. Does that help you
Yes,
a little bit?
yes, that means you're driving at Bathurst, right? You're on.
Oh, there's Mark Scaife joins pit lane. So that's 2 visits and 2 heats for Mark Scaife. This has been a dreadful meeting.
These things
Winfield.
normally don't happen to Freddie Gibson's team. They're always so professional. But bad luck today, and really no one wants to win a championship and be out of the spotlight all day.
No.
So this battle continues. Crompton doing a great job in the Coke Commodore. Wayne Gardner, his team partner, was up ahead of him before Dick and...
Oh, gee. Thanks, boss.
I can understand the frustration, I really can. Now, Glenn Seaton still continues to lead this one over Peter Brock.
Certainly impressive speed from the Fords here this weekend, and they take a different line here. Alan Jones tries to duck out of the draft as we cut back to the man who's leading this race. The gap between himself and Peter Brock changing 1.5 seconds, and Alan Jones gets really serious here.
Look at Mazera.
Yeah, Thomas Mazera follows him through.
He's trying hard, yeah.
Oh, that was a hell of a move when you think about it. He's got John Bower. Jones has been the big mover off the back of the field in company with Mark Scaife. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, that was
Shembry, I think, that was in a spot of bother there. Yes, he was, but he stayed to the outside. Neil Shembry doing a good job.
Yep, he's got a flat tire.
Better grow Commodore there. He's had a wretched weekend.
Look at this Alan Jones, unreal. When he gets going, it just nothing bothers him.
Yeah, it just reminds you of the Formula One days, Alan.
A little snap of the tail there across the front of Dick. Dick has had a little bang up there too. And Dick pulls back and says, you want to have a look at some forward horsepower? I've got a bit to spare with here.
Boys, please.
He'll go down and Dick will try and get inside of him here.
Mind you, all this carving each other up is allowing Crompton a little bit of breathing space there. He's opening up 3 or 4 car lengths on the battle that was previously ensuing. So as long as these guys keep carving each other up, Crompton looking strong in 3rd position.
The thing that's so impressed with here, Mark, is the way they're all drifting the cars. I'm just trying to relay these pictures to what's going to happen at Bathurst when they're going across the top of that mountain in 4-wheel drifts. It is going to be so exciting. That's not quite a 4-wheel drift there from Thomas Mazera.
That was an XOS 4-wheel drift.
He's trying hard. They're all at it. It's almost as if there was Tony Perry had donated a couple of acres of Oran Park to the winner here today.
That's a good rumor to start with 4 laps to go.
Look at the gap now. To 19 seconds it is back to Crompton in 3rd position from the leaders. Unbelievable race speed from these 2 leading cars, Brock and Seaton.
Well, Johnson exits that turn. Seaton still leads Peter Brock comfortably. Oh, there's Scott going around sideways.
Just
almost getting the next Winfield Commodore.
Just about got him.
Crowd love it.
Tony Scott.
Starting to light up those tyres.
Here's some more traffic now for the Shell team.
Jonesy really is getting a squirt on here. He's one of the only guys, apart from the leading 2, still running in the 1 minute 9 second bracket.
Gary Wilmington's privately entered Falcon 41. The 2 Dick Johnson Shell FAI cars go down the inside. There's AJ moving up. What a drive today from this bloke. Off the back of the field, sideways through the turns. He's giving it plenty of stick, let me tell you. And Crompton would now be aware you can't play with this bloke.
It's going to be a stoush on here.
If these guys have been doing a tire test here today, they've certainly got some data to put in the notebook. Just tremendous run from the Peter Jackson team.
There'll be 3 laps to go when they come across the start-finish line this time. Crompton in 3rd, Jones in 4th. And look at Alan Jones. Hasn't he got the eyes on this afternoon?
He's got him. He'll get him.
He's lost none of that fire in the belly that he had. And anyone who followed his Formula 1 career know this guy could turn it on at will, and he put in some of the most exciting drives. And he's lost none of that. Still as aggressive as ever.
That tells you one thing. The Co-Commodore's not short on horsepower.
No.
He was able to hold his own, if not pull a length down the straight. But Jonesy says, Neil.
There's going to be tears.
Neil.
Side by side. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Neil runs out of road.
Well,
and Alan sneaks through.
Don't play with this guy when he decides that he wants to get onto the podium. There's just nothing is going to stop him. Look at that.
He really is an awesome talent, Alan Jones, and he's lost none of that skill. Here's the battle. Continues between Johnson, Bauer, Mazira, 5th, 6th and 7th. This has been on since the start.
Tremendous reliability here, and don't worry that all these teams are monitoring what kind of reliability they're getting out of this kind of a battle. These guys are going for broke in every way possible, just trying to make sure nothing breaks or see that it won't break. If it can't do 100 Ks around Oran Park, it's certainly not going to do 1,000 around Bathurst in a couple of months' time.
Such a juggling act. You're trying to get on and beat these guys. You've got a 1,300 kilogram race car, about 550 horsepower going through the rear wheels, and they've still got to try and keep the tyres on them.
They've done a great job today. The exit to the turn again. 2 laps to go. Signal coming out. John Bowes followed Dick Johnson throughout this race, has made any number of moves to the inside or the outside, but Dick's been able to counter every one of them. A few anxious moments for John. Now, can Dick muster something over Crompton with a lap and 3/4 to go?
Well, no change at the front, just hovering between a 1 and a 1.5 second lead between Seaton and Brock. There really doesn't seem to be much PB can do about it this afternoon.
Well, Thomas Mazira is sitting in there. Now, he has seen Jones arrive from behind, pass all of them, and can't figure out why he can't just get a little inside snick. He tried to follow Jones through, but the gap closed across the front of his car.
Dunlop race cam aboard 17. And 1 lap to go. Glenn Seaton crosses the start-finish line. That's how far ahead he is of this battle. For 5th, 6th and 7th. Keep in mind, too, that Glenn Seaton has to beat Peter Brock to pick up the runner-up spot in the championship this year. And it looks like he's going to be able to do it.
Thomas Mazira sits in behind and makes a move here. Wait for this. Yeah. No, that didn't work out. And Paul Morris, hands over fist, all over the back now of Thomas Mazira. Glenn has already taken the last lap board. He is working his way now onto the back straight.
Lights come on, JB. Telling the boss, say, I wouldn't mind getting through here.
A bit late if you follow that long. You'll have to wait.
Tony.
Traffic hold up here now. Dick still leading. John Bowell, Mazira, Paul Morris in the Diet Coke car. Talk about a freight train.
I think the Coca-Cola team would be pretty pleased with their performance today too. Wayne Gardner certainly been in the wars in the first and the second heat. Crompton, good consistent run, and the car's very quick in a straight line. They're looking in good shape.
Here comes the leader of the grand final. Listen to the crowd give him a welcome home to victory lane. It's Glenn Seaton and the Peter Jackson Falcon coming across the strike, and he takes 2 heats here today from Peter Brock. 1-2 across the line. Fabulous finish for them, and Alan Jones in car number 30, the second of the PJ Blue Fords, will pick up 3rd.